Hey, welcome back to the Easy Hard versus Hard podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you find the work that matters in your life. Today, we're going to start talking about the Easy Hard versus Hard method in the lens of self-leadership theory. Self-leadership theory, simply put, is a theory of leadership that says you can't lead others until you can lead yourself. This is one of the foundational elements to finding your hard work and maintaining the hard work in your life. And so over the next few weeks, I'm going to dive into this a little deeper. So self-leadership covers pretty much anything that's self-motivation, inspiration, self-determination, self-talk. The list goes on, and we'll be breaking these down a little more along the way. I did want to start, though, with self-awareness. And the reason for this is an interview I heard at the 2025 British Open that took place a couple weeks ago. And the world number one golfer, Scottie Scheffler, making the statement that golf is something that I do. It's not who I am. This statement alone demonstrates the ultimate level of self-awareness. And it shows that Scottie is a person that is working at a job, but he really knows that the work he does outside of the job is what matters to him. Scottie says that he'd rather be a good husband and father than a good golfer, even going so far to say that if golf ever interferes with him accomplishing either of these things, he would walk away. This level of self-awareness is absolutely amazing, and it's something that you don't see often from people at the pinnacle of their sports. Most of the time, we view anyone that's at the top of their game as being purely dedicated to the sport, living, thinking, breathing. Everything they do is to become better. And I'm sure in a lot of ways, Scottie Scheffler works very hard at golf. And he'd have to be, number one in the world. I think he's now over 100 weeks, which hasn't been seen since the likes of Tiger Woods back in 2007, 2008. So we're talking about a guy that has transcended his sport for a very long time, very consistent, but yet he's still self-aware. He's self-aware enough to get in public and say, hey, I like golf, I'm good at golf, but golf isn't who I am. Scottie also said during this interview, if all he was doing was working for a trophy, it's not a very fulfilling life. And he further says that when he won a golf tournament, it's euphoric for a few minutes, but then life goes on. He's got to immediately decide what he's going to eat for dinner or where he's going to go next week or whatever. So the point is that when you get to an achievement, it's just that. So he is self-aware to not only know that golf doesn't define him, but that golf, when he does succeed, it's only for a moment. So he's not putting his value and self-worth on the prize, but more on what the prize allows him to do and become. This is a very big tenet to the hard work. I know I personally struggled with this for years. I always thought if I achieved something, it would make me something else. It would give me happiness. It would give me peace. It would make me like myself better. It's really refreshing to see someone like Scottie who has transcended that. And he's a young man, 29 years old. It took me much longer to learn this. But when you are able to incorporate that the achievements in life are just that, they're great, you should take pride in them, but they're just a moment in time. What do you do the rest of the time? That's where self-leadership comes in. Self-leadership isn't about the moment or the achievement. It's about everything surrounding the moment. What do you do each and every day to get you to that moment? And then more importantly, how do you respond once the moment has come and you've achieved what you did? To see a high performer like this asking such deep questions like that is really amazing, and it shows me that Scottie is connected to his values. Now, he has a deep personal faith, likes to share, his Christian values, and I can tell these really mean something to him because, he could gloat and he could say, well, I'm the best golfer in the world, yada, yada. but he doesn't. He focuses the question not really on golf, but on what success means to him. He's not just chasing success. He's looking to be a good person, a good husband, a good father. He's taking the time to become a better person so he can then be better for others. And that's really what self-leadership is all about, is when you start putting in the effort and building your knowledge, skills, and abilities to become a better person yourself, you're then more present to interact with others and be there for them. So I thought this was a very powerful interview. And since it just happened a couple weeks ago, I thought we'd start off the whole discussion on self-leadership on that. Now, there's going to be a whole lot more on this, and it probably will get a little bit academic, but I think it's very important for all of us to grasp the tenets of the hard work, because once you start understanding that the work itself is less important than the process in which you go about obtaining the work, it takes away a lot of stress. It takes away a lot of anxiety. It removes self-doubt, and it allows you to continue day in and day out, even when things don't go your way. I personally have experienced this very same thing, or this concept this week, or within the last 2 weeks. On July 11th, I was able to finally defend my dissertation en route to obtaining my doctorate. And while this was such a huge event, and it took hours and years of preparation to get to that event, it was, in reality, just an hour event. When that was over, I couldn't revel in that for days or weeks or months, because the moment came and the moment left. The point is, while I should take pride and be grateful that I successfully was able to get through that, I can't take it and make it more than what it is, because what happens the next day when you don't have that to do? What happens the next month when you don't have that to do? This is where setting goals, setting ideals are valuable to help keep you move forward. But at the same time, when you reach those goals, don't dwell on them, because it's a moment. And Scottie shows this by, saying that, yeah, hey, I win a golf tournament and then it's on to the next thing. And I'm not saying that you should just accomplish something and go on to the next thing. But at the same time, treat it with the level of, awareness that it deserves, because it doesn't define you. Just like being a golfer doesn't define Scottie Scheffler, nor did this dissertation or the defense or the degree. Once I learned this, and thankfully I did, because prior to about a year ago, I thought that obtaining this degree would make me like myself. I've said this many times, but I want to keep reiterating it, because it's very easy, even for me, to fall into that trap. If you're working at something for the wrong reason, you're not going to get the value. You're not going to be able to give back to others. You're not going to have the happiness that you're looking for. So I encourage you to sit back and think about something that may define you right now. Could it be your job? Could it be the amount of money you make, the car you drive? And then decide if that's healthy. Hopefully what defines you is something greater than a accolade or achievement or a possession. It's something that drives you each and every day to become a better person and give back to others. If it's not, maybe it's time to reconsider this. And it could be a good point of reflection to say, oh, I've been chasing an easy heart and it's not fulfilling me, because once you get this amount of money, you want more and you want more and you want more, or, this job title when I want to rise in the company or whatever. And then you become obsessed with that, but you're not really happy. You're not really satisfied. You're not really doing your purpose. So once you figure out what you identify with, also figure out what your purpose is. If the two don't marry up, or they're not congruent with each other, then there's a misalignment. And that's when the work to go find out your hard work and make the changes that are needed can be evidence to you. So the example of Scottie Scheffler, I think, is fantastic. So I encourage each of you to go find it, read the article, watch the interview. And we can see from this massively successful guy, his level thinking. And that is what we should aspire to in our hard work. I'm not saying we should all become little Scottie Schefflers, but that awareness, that understanding that what we do may be impressive, but if we're not building our purpose, we're not building our values, we're not promoting what we truly want to do, then what good is it? I thank you all for listening. If you like this episode, please share it with someone else. I also invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. I'll drop the link to my Substack in the show notes below, where I delve into these issues a little bit more in a narrative format. And it's also an opportunity for you to contact me, ask questions. I do encourage you to reach out to me if there's anything you want clarified or any questions you've got, because I'm here to help. And I'd like for every listener here to find their hard work and start working towards the work that matters to them. I've said it a lot. It changed my life. I hope some of this will help change yours. Again, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm Bobby Shelton. Keep finding your hard work and chasing the work that actually matters in your life.